Hello and welcome everybody to a special edition of NXT. There was no power up tonight as they had a power surge, and Zach said that there just wasn't enough to cover tonight. So we went ahead and graciously gave us the time. So here we are. It's me and it's Ashford. You can't see us, but we are. We're saving the specialty for once we get on the stream. But we are currently watching in a picture-in-picture during the ad break the main event match, which is Tony D'Angelo versus Pete Dunne. Astrid, as a general thing, without anything, going into it too much, what have you thought about tonight's show?
I feel like it went back to how it's usually like it's been good. And then I feel like the timing has been good and the flow of it has been good to how it's usual. So I feel like compared to last week, I feel like it's better this week. And I feel like it feels like they're setting up a lot for New Year's Eve tonight. And I like it. So I'm like, it wasn't like Halloween Havoc. That was like a letdown towards that ending there. But I like this better tonight.
Well, yeah, and I mean, they have to kind of set up how, a New Year's Evil because we are getting New Year's Evil in 2 Tuesdays from now, which, by the way, you will have us here covering it after New Year's Evil. And after Power Out, you will be able to go ahead and have your NXT team, as it will be me, Astrid, and a special guest joining us because of the fact that Cody will be on assignment again, as Cody is not here tonight and he won't be here for the next couple of weeks. So you might see some guests rotating in and out as we go. If you want anybody in particular, go ahead and shout them out in the comments, and we can go ahead and take a look and see who might be available. And let's be realistic. If you're going to say people like Grayson Waller, it's probably not going to happen. Although I might reach out to him on Twitter just to see. I mean, he's not verified, so he might see my message. That's according to Vic Joseph. That was a great line from Vic last week. I still love it. It's still one of my favorites.
I actually looked it up, but he isn't verified, surprisingly. So, yep. He's a normal human being like the rest of us until he gets that check mark.
Yep. Until he gets the check mark, he's just normal. Ow, ow, ow. See, so here's the thing. I love watching Pete Dunne work. But half of a Pete Dunne match for me is me just saying ow over and over and over again.
Oh. I feel like with Pete, at least I can picture myself being there, getting those moves done to me, and that's what makes it even more painful for me compared to most people.
Yeah, like, I can imagine being the guy getting kicked in the face right now by Pete Dunne. Like, I can see that happening.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can see Pete Dunne trying to bend my anatomy in ways that, shouldn't be bent in any way, shape, or form. As my mother calls him, finger breaker. That's all she knows. I'm like, his name is Pete Dunne. She's like, yeah, he's the finger breaker. I'm like, okay, Mom, finger breaker, got it. But yes, you will be joining us on a festive NXT as we roll into the Christmas season. So for those of you who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. For those of you who don't, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. It's a nice long weekend for you. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You'll be able to get some shopping done, go see a movie. If I'm going to suggest any, I would suggest Spider-Man No Way Home. As I've said, knowing people haven't seen the movie, my thing about the movie, as I've seen it on Friday night, was it's a movie. You should go see it. If you think you're going to like it, you're probably going to like it. If you don't think you're going to like it, don't go. Go see The Matrix. Like,
Not like the rest of the world, but sure.
I mean, there's all kinds of movies. Those are the two that I can think of off the top of my head. I know that I think on Christmas Day, I think we get Encantado on Disney Plus. I think they're giving us. I think it's a special gift.
Oh, they are. Oh, I mean, wanted to watch them.
I saw it on Disney Plus's Twitter that they were giving it to us at some point on early. So that will be fun. The Eternals comes out. And of course, it wouldn't be an Edge stream if we weren't just veering off into things that don't matter. The Eternals.
They do matter. Excuse you, sir.
The Eternals will be on. The Eternals will be on Disney Plus on January 12th.
Yes.
So that will be fun.
There we go. Harlan and Kendrick.
Yeah, Harlan and Kendrick has been. Now I don't know if it's going to be a match or if it's just going to be Harlan coming out to apologize.
I mean, it says versus though.
Well, no, I know it says versus, but I mean, I like how they're having Brian Kendrick come back. I love how his graphic is still old school, the Brian Kendrick.
Oh, you're
Like,
right. Oh my gosh.
is it Christmas Day?
And Christmas Eve, the 24th.
Oh, it's Christmas Eve. Cool.
I'm sending this to my family check. That's what we're watching. Thank you very much.
No problem. Good thing I mentioned it.
I had no idea, and I've been looking forward to it because of Lin Manuel. I've been like watching all the musicals he's been involved in. So
Yeah, Lin-Manuel Miranda is fantastic.
I
If you
know.
want something that he's in that you don't expect him, there's an episode of House. I'm sorry, not House. There's an episode of How I Met Your Mother that he's in.
Mhm.
I think he's in House too, but um, he does a great episode of How I Met Your Mother, where he helps what's his name, Jason Segel's character, keep the baby asleep on a bus ride by telling him terrible stories that are going to ruin the child for the rest of his life. It's hysterical. We've seen a lot tonight, like a lot of random things that I didn't expect came tonight.
When it's already over 10 and past 10.
It is past 10. They are taking an overrun tonight, which is good considering this match has been really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They've really given Tony a shine here, which is nice.
I
didn't think they were going to main event with this, to be perfectly honest. I didn't think they were going to main event with this. I thought this would open the show, and I thought that they would let the ladies open a main event. That being said, with everything that's happened, I think that the ladies' match was positioned perfectly on the show. So I can't sit here and say that I'm upset because the ladies got plenty of time in a good spot. And at this point, it's not about who main events and men versus women. It's about putting on great matches. And Dakota and Raquel had a fantastic segment. Because I won't even call it a match. I'm going to call it a double segment because that's what it was.
I feel like between them and this, probably the most time I've seen in the match tonight so far.
Yeah, there hasn't been anything. There was nothing overtly long in the ring tonight. A lot of promos. It's a very heavy promo-heavy show tonight. I don't know if it. Actually, I'm going to do the count now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have 13 promos written down on my match listing here for this show with, stuff that they showed of like video packages and stuff like that, hyping up of segments and not counting things that broke up into 2 segments. I have 13
Holy moly.
promos from tonight's show. So you see, Zach, we can do it too, but we do it in 2 hours. Like 13 promos, but spread out over 2 hours.
No, here we go.
So, yeah, here comes the finish, it looks like. Oh. He's hooking him. Oh. Pete fights it. Fingers, and there's the snap. Interesting. Not the finish I would have gone with. All right. I like it. I like it a lot. Gonna give Astrid a minute or so to catch up. Because Astrid is watching on the USA app, which does run a couple seconds behind me.
Wow.
Not the finish I would have thought.
No, me neither. That's surprising.
But it works. I don't hate it.
Is anybody going to attack him because of the angle of the camera?
Probably. I mean,
say.
they have a 5-minute overrun.
I know. Okay.
They've got time. They don't have to rush out. It's an interesting end if that's where it ends, and it just ends with the end of a match. Let's see what we got. Oh, Mm-hmm.
I like how we're so concentrated on this.
Well, I mean, this is the downside to, like Power Out is great because they get to talk about anything and everything they want while, something's going on and they're not paying attention to it as we want to talk about this in an hour and a half. We're going to want to talk about this match. And it makes sense that we know what happens as the show ends. But it looks like we're going to the end of the show. Things have happened. People have gotten their heat back. And it looks like... Oh, hold on. I thought we were headed to the end of the show, but it looks like we're going to get a little bit more.
Right. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. So what did you think about Vic Joseph wearing the Drew McIntyre and Wade Barrett and the Becky Lynch ugly Christmas sweater? Right. Ow! Ow, Tony. Ow, Tony. Uncalled for.
First we get Grayson doing it to Gargano, and now we get Tony to Pete. Who's the target next week?
Well, I mean, he's not being written out, but he that was definitely unnecessary by Tony D.
I know, we're finishing the show the same way, though, with an attack again.
Yeah, but I mean, at least this one, he was in the match.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to run the NXT intro, and then we'll be back to talk about the show proper. So we'll see you in about 20 seconds. Well, hello and welcome to the festive edition. I don't have anything festive, so Doctor Who for me.
Wait.
And we got Astrid. Look, Astrid's all lit up as the big star that she is. She's got to make sure that she's got all the lights flashing her name and everything else. So she's got her lovely holiday Christmas hat on and some flashing lights. So hopefully that doesn't cause any issues with any of our fan base.
There you go.
But Astrid, as always, how are you today? You missed last week's episode, so you missed me and Cody's train wreck of a show last week.
I didn't miss it. I watched half of it, and then I watched the other
and then
half
you fell asleep.
the next day because I had to work. So yeah, I had to miss it because I was burnt out from work, unfortunately. I had to wake up early the next day. But other than that, I was watching it while I was working, so it was fun watching you guys calling my name even though I was asleep, so I see how that goes.
we do have a comment in from Choke Throat Gaming saying the star is shining, and she absolutely is. We have our friend Sean Cena here as well. Hello, Sean Cena. Welcome. So, Astrid, as always, I mean, I know what the thing is. Dara Amazing, absolutely. Woo! Astrid's back, absolutely. When Astrid's gone, it things can fall off the rails. Astrid's the focus lady.
Yeah, there you go.
But hello, Dara. I'm glad to see you here. Astrid, I already know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. What was your favorite part of the show?
To be honest, I probably might give you a different one than what you're thinking, but
really?
I'm thinking, yeah, it was AJ and Grayson for me.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into this. Yeah. So earlier this week, Grayson Waller put out a little thing on Instagram. As I have it in my notes, I have it Instaface because I'm a Patriots fan. And Bill Belichick had a famous thing where they were asking him about social media, and he purposely got the names wrong because he pretends like he's a grumpy old man who doesn't know. And no, Dara, we're not talking about that right now. We might talk about it when the segment comes, but I'm going to try not to focus on that.
I feel like Ed's is more obvious than mine tonight. Why did you think mine was my favorite one was tonight?
I thought it was going to be the ladies' match, to be perfectly honest, or as I called it, the double segment, because it was a fantastic double segment. But we get back to Grayson Waller, and Grayson Waller has this great video package where he's out on the beach in Florida and just chilling and doing his thing, and he starts talking trash about AJ Styles. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Ashley put it in the Slack chat earlier this week. And I'm like, I like that. I mean, I never thought anything would come of it, but But I'm like, cool, okay, Grayson's attacking AJ Styles. That's funny. AJ flashback on Twitter. Cool, whatever. Like, they're not sending AJ to NXT for this. No. On Monday Night Raw, they announced, hey, AJ Styles going to NXT on Tuesday night. Go ahead and watch. And I'm like, cool. This will be fun. So we go ahead and we have Grayson Waller throughout the show again as that running segment throughout the show. We've had it the last couple weeks, and it's been interesting. So they replay that, as I call it, the Instaface promo in like the second segment of the show. Later on, they have Indy and Persia backstage, and Persia says that their match got postponed. And then Grayson Waller comes in and Indy goes off on him. And Persia keeps telling her that he's not worth it. Don't worry about it. And they remind us that AJ Styles is coming. They have a segment with... Where did I lose it? Oh, AJ shows up. I'm sorry. So after the Trick versus Dexter Loomis match, Grayson Waller comes through and he attacks Loomis with a chair. I'm assuming setting up Grayson Waller's next feud, because we find out during this show that LA Knight is out for an unexpected amount of time. Basically, we're giving LA Knight some time off. Him and Grayson Waller will pick it up later. Thank God they're ending that feud for right now and doing something different. But after Waller attacks him with the chair, we get the big thing on the screen with AJ getting out of his truck and coming backstage and coming in. So we go to commercial break. We come back. We have a Pete Dunne promo. And then finally, Grayson Waller's in there talking about a Hall of Famer and if he had his Hall of Fame speech. And I say if as opposed to the when he said it, because I'm not sold on Grayson Waller, but I like what they're doing. And then AJ finally shows up. And now I'm going to let Asher take over, because I think that's the point where she wants to start talking.
I mean, I wish I could have been. I know I type really fast, but I wish I could have been faster enough to type every single one of the quotes they gave each other, every single one of the lines, because I feel like it was so interesting back and forth. But more than anything, seeing AJ in NXT, that was something like, obviously I never expected it to happen. And, you kind of expect maybe like a video promo or something like that. But seeing him in person, especially in NXT, it's one of those things like, I wonder how the ratings, how I adjust or changes the ratings, having AJ just showing up. Because I mean, that will be.
It's going to be terrible because there are 2 football games tonight because of COVID. Yeah, there are 2 football games tonight because of COVID. The ratings are going to tank.
So let's see. I was hoping AJ will make a difference. So we'll see about that later on. By one of the parts that I did like the most when he talks about the future superstars, and
I have this order written down, so I thought the order was very important here.
Let's see if I got it right. I know he said Braun first, obviously. Then he said Tony, and then he said Carmelo. And he's like, I can see them being superstars, but Grayson is just like a man. Like, I don't see you in that category with them. And I thought it was interesting, like the order they said it and the names that he mentioned too, because I was expecting a little bit more people, but he gave a few of them. I like how Grayson kept going back to the part of like, you lost your meal ticket last night. You lost your partner last night. And he kept going back to that. Like, that was his pinpoint against AJ. Like, it's only been, like, probably 24 hours since the attack happened. So he kept going back, back to that. But I did like the back and forth. And then the other part that I didn't enjoy, where he goes, you got a good 3 weeks on you and you think you're a superstar. I have 20 plus years, like, on experience. And I was like, I love this. I love that back and forth of, like, and we got something similar with Ciampa at the beginning and Braun, when Ciampa was giving Braun, like, you've been here for what? A couple months only. I've been here longer than that. And showing that inexperience between them and how they're basically still rookies compared to them. But I did like the back and forth they had. I wish I could have written every single one of the lines because they were really, really good. Or the other part where he's talking about the gloves and the elbow. He's like, I know. Get to this one. Yeah. He's like, I don't know if you're watching Grayson Waller, but I know I'm watching AJ Styles. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I did love. Oh, I see you got the little gloves, and that's cute. Oh, you wear the one elbow pad. Yeah, that's great. Am I watching Grayson Waller or am I watching AJ Styles? And I just like, oh, AJ, that one hit. Yeah. Like, AJ didn't hit a lot of home runs. Like, I'll be honest, AJ could have done a lot better. Like we've seen AJ on fire, and this wasn't AJ on fire. This was AJ having fun, just coming down, cutting a cool promo, and selling us on the idea of a match.
Mm-hmm.
A match I want to see, like Dara Amazing says. I want to see AJ versus Grayson. I do too. We're not getting this match, just so we can be clear. I don't think there's any chance in hell we get this match. Do you?
I feel like not anytime soon, but it's something that I feel like if they build it up to give it to us later, they have the seeds to begin with. Like this is just like the beginning of it for later on. But I feel like we'll get it, but not anytime soon though.
I think if we get this match, it's going to come in between the Rumble and Mania. And I think it's going to come because Grayson Waller is in the Royal Rumble match and eliminates AJ Styles. I think that's how we get to this match if it actually takes place. I still don't think it will. Oh, hold on. I'm trying to get it centered on my head. I have a big fat head. And John Cena, while we were talking about that, did say this, and he's repeated it, so I'm definitely going to bring it up. How long before Grayson talks trash about the tribal chief? I don't think he does. The great thing about Grayson Waller is he can attack anybody he wants because most likely nobody's going to listen. But that being said, like, if you're going to let him take shots at people, it needs to be people that are going to give a damn what he has to say. Like in AJ Styles right now, like, I think the only line that he said that really got to AJ was when he started calling him himself the phenomenal Grayson Waller. And when he said, you're just good at riding his coattails. Like that's the things that got to AJ. And he's like, all right, I'm coming down and I'm dealing with you. There's nothing he can say that's going to get him to Roman Reigns. And more importantly, if he starts talking trash about Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa is already in NXT to take care of that. So I don't think we're getting anything with that. That being said, it'd be fun to see him take shots at Roman, but this Roman, there are no shots to take. This Roman is sitting on a different level than hell. Roman's sitting on a different level than anybody else in WWE right now. I mean, he's up there in the upper echelon of like legit superstars of the year. Like, you know, I was filling out for those of you who haven't seen it, go ahead and follow our friends at Turnbuckle Talk. Those guys do some great stuff. They're having the Mighty Joe Awards this year, and they have a survey out there for, you know, match of the year and things like that. I think Roman Reigns has been the superstar of the year because of the people on that list and of those that I can think of. He's had the most straight, sustained year of just great things happening for himself. So I think that, honestly, I think he's the superstar of the year. And you don't deal with people like Grayson Waller when you're Roman Reigns. So while it'd be fun, there's nothing to poke fun at right now. Like, it's easy to poke fun at AJ Styles. Oh, he's got the L'Oreal mom's haircut. Okay, soccer mom haircut. I mean, by the way, all of Grayson Waller's stuff is all ripped off John Cena stuff from 5 years ago. So, But it was a cool promo, and it got some people talking because AJ was in NXT for the second time ever. People were like, the first time. It's not the first time. There was a time when he came through during the Survivor Series build. We have Dar Amazing saying, but when will AJ Styles fight Edge? Here's my thing. If Edge is not fighting The Miz and Maurice with Beth at WrestleMania, then Edge is fighting AJ Styles. If he does fight The Miz, then I'm assuming we get Edge versus AJ Styles probably at SummerSlam.
SummerSlam,
yeah. But you know, it's entirely up to you as to when we get that match. I mean, it could be anything. Like, it depends on how far they want to go with the Maurice build and everything else. There's a whole bunch of other stuff going on. Edge has got all kinds of fun stuff. We got our friend Evan Wright here saying, I try with NXT, I promise, but it's not a good show. And that's fine. Like, I'm here to praise the things that I love about NXT, and I say the bad things that I don't like about NXT. It might not be for everybody. NXT is a very niche product right now, promoting young stars and doing a lot of different things that you're not going to see on main roster television, on AEW, on Rampage. These aren't the types of things you're going to see there. So I can completely understand when people say that they don't think it's a good show. I appreciate you giving us the time. I appreciate you saying happy holidays. We greatly appreciate it. We hope you enjoy yours. As long as you come in here and you be like, look, I tried, I watched it, I didn't really love it. I can't complain about that. You have an opinion, I have an opinion. Astrid has an opinion. Dara has an opinion. We're not going to sit here and roast people because they don't like the things that we like. That's not what we do at Love Wrestling. Like, if you don't love NXT, okay, cool. Like, we appreciate you watching us. Hopefully we can find something that gives you a little bit of enjoyment during the show, give you a little bit of fun. That being said, there's all kinds of wrestling out there, especially this upcoming week and this upcoming month. I mean, in a couple days, we've got New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom. January 4th, Wrestle Kingdom comes out. It's going to be fantastic.
Hard to Kill coming up soon, too.
Hard to Kill's coming up. All kinds of wonderful stuff. Evan popping in saying he likes to watch all the Love Wrestling stuff after it's lives and he appreciates everyone for their reviews. We appreciate you for viewing us. We appreciate everything else. And like I said, continue to try to give NXT a chance. If you don't want to, that's fine. I'm sure I'll see you in the chat for one of our other wonderful shows. They're amazing telling us, yes, 3 nights of Wrestle Kingdom, 2 back-to-back and 1 about 3 days later for free. Anyways, NXT, focus. I got to focus. I don't do well at focus. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to my favorite thing. And as Dara points out, and he has the smiley face, I wonder what that might be. We're going to start with the double segment, and then we'll get to everything that happened post-match. Sorry, I had to clear my throat for that one. So the match, so we start with Dakota and Raquel fighting backstage. This took a lot longer to break up than I thought because they never really broke it up. Just, come on, guys, you got to get to the ring. And I'm like, all right, this is a cute way to say they're going to start the match in the beginning of the show and then push it to the end of the show because they're going to have to separate the girls and they're not going to want to do the match right now. Fine. No, they take about 10 minutes of beatdown backstage, having a bunch of fun with all kinds of weapons. You know, is it the greatest beatdown backstage in the world? No. It was fine. It was cool. They're trying. Dakota Kai really tries. But you can tell that these are bigger obstacles that they're not used to using. And they weren't really comfortable with them. They fight all the way to the ring. The match starts during the ad break. They come back. It's a fun match. All kinds of weapon spots, all kinds of different, chair spots, trash can spots, table spots, stairs spots, the galore, everything you want. The great power bomb onto the stairs on the outside. That was really cool. Chef's kiss on that. She gets her in the ring. The one-handed power bomb through the trash can to go ahead and get the win. I thought it was great. As we know, rumors have been out and about for the last week or so that this is potentially one of the last few matches for Raquel and Dakota Kai as they get ready to head to the main roster. I guarantee we see both of them in the Royal Rumble, regardless of how this next match fizzles out, shakes out. But this is definitely probably Dakota Kai's farewell to NXT. And if it is, good for her. We go ahead in the post-match. Raquel calls out Mandy Rose for a title match right now. She says that she's sick of waiting, that she wants a title match, and she wants it now. They go to commercial break. They come back from commercial break, and we get a Tony D'Angelo promo. And this is one of the things I hated about this show, and it's something I hated about the beginning of NXT 2.0. And I can already see Astrid nodding and smiling and agreeing with me. I hate when they have something going on and then cut to a commercial break and come back to something completely different and then go back to whatever's happening in the ring. I hate it. I hate it. Finish the things you're doing, then give me the Tony D'Angelo promo, and then do everything else that you want to do. That being said, Raquel's still calling out throughout the entire commercial break and the Tony D'Angelo promo. So I don't know what the heck she was saying for that long. As much as I like Raquel, she's not super fantastic on the mic. Like it's the one downfall she has. She's gotten a lot better in the ring for the limited time that, like, because I remember 2 years ago, she was Texan Cowgirl. And she's got a completely different character, and she's built well, and she's strong, and she's powerful, and her in-ring stuff is going great. But her on the mic is still a bit of a liability. So she goes ahead and she continues to call her out. Cora Jade comes out, and they start going back and forth. And I'm like, oh, great. So are we going to get Cora Jade versus Raquel Gonzalez tonight, heading into, or next week, heading into a number one contenders match for Mandy Rose? No, Mandy Rose pops up poolside. We're going to stay on focus here. She pops up poolside and she goes ahead and says, I'm sorry, not me. Her. So Mandy versus Cora versus Raquel, triple threat match for the NXT Women's Championships at New Year's Evil. Fantastic little, not long, not great, just a quick little easy, great killer promo from her being like, you guys are all there. I'm here. I'm doing my thing. I don't know why anybody would have their NXT Women's Championship poolside as they at night. Like it there are a lot of problems with this promo, but Mandy is Mandy, so we'll let some of it slide and just go, okay, it was fine. And then she says, oh, but I have a treat for you before New Year's Evil. And Toxic Attraction comes out and they beat down the two girls. And then Raquel Gonzalez gets put through a table. And Asdar Amazing says, will they coexist next week? Yes. Cora Jade's least favorite thing in all of the wrestling world will happen next week as they go ahead and have Raquel Gonzalez and Cora Jade versus Toxic Attraction next week heading into New Year's Evil. I'm fine with this. It's a placeholder thing. They still want to keep Mandy being in the ring as little as possible, make her feel special. That's fine. What did you think of the match and then the promo segments and everything else?
Yeah, bro, this is what I was telling you about when I sent you the message. I said it's taking a while for the referees to interrupt this.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it to be like just a few minutes, and then the referees come in. They're like, we're done. Just wait until tonight. Can I hold them off? So I was not waiting for that. But I did like how, like we have pointed out since we started with NXT 2.0, they've been giving us different angles when it comes to the promos, how they get to the ring, things like that. And this was another concept with that. Another part of it. They gave us a different angle of the match because we haven't had a match start like this, well, technically, or a segment start like this from this area. And then not only that, but leading up to the match and having this type of match, which is not something we get to see every single week in NXT 2.0. I like how they went all around that area. They went all around ringside. They didn't stick to one place, which I liked. I'm like, don't stick to one area. Just go around everywhere. And they did that. One part that made me kind of laugh a little bit was the part with the trash can, because you can totally see Raquel kind of holding the trash can to hold it in place for Dakota. And when she did that, you can see the camera angle. They changed it to Dakota and the top rope, so we wouldn't see Raquel just like holding the trash can like this inside of her. So I thought that was super interesting and funny when I first saw it. But yeah, other than that, it was a good match for me. I like how they kept my attention the whole time, and I was like connected. I wanted to see more from them. But yeah, just obviously, I thought from the beginning they're gonna set up a three-way somehow. I just didn't think it was gonna happen New Year's Evil. I figured it'd be probably before that maybe. But other than that, I'm like, the only thing about this is like, does Mandy pin Raquel? Because that's gonna make Mandy look strong. Because I don't think Cora should be pinned during this match, because she's the one that's gonna stay in NXT 2.0 versus Raquel going to the main roster. So that's the part that I'm like, probably pinning Raquel as a send-off more than likely. But I like how it was a good end of a chapter between Dakota and Raquel. So it was a good conclusion for me. I really enjoyed it. So I'm excited for the match. Like you pointed it out, like her, and it reminded me of the Damian Priest and like the hot tub with the championship on him. I'm like, why is it with championships and the hot tubs in the water? I don't know what it is, but
I mean, so my love for Mandy Rose aside, and gimmicks aside, like Mandy Rose is a wonderfully beautiful woman. Like I gimmick it up for the show, and she's a beautiful woman. Like, it was a bit much for me. I'm like this is old school, like Sunny on Raw kind of like 94, 97 kind of Raw magazine kind of attire for Mandy Rose. Like, it's fine. But again, this is them taking a character who feels comfortable in her skin to do things like this, who's petitioning. I guarantee you, like, her Instagram before she was in WWE, like when she was on Tough Enough, this is Amanda from Tough Enough, the woman who was like, no, I'm leaving Tough Enough for my wedding. Like, this girl isn't opposed to being the star and putting herself into unusual and ironic positions to become famous. Like, she's not being told that she has to put on a bikini and go do these things. She's doing it willingly. I mean, we all remember everything that happened with her and Otis. Like, she's all in for these kinds of gimmicks and these kinds of portrayals of her character, as she should. If you have the body to do some of this stuff, you are welcome to do whatever you see fit with it. And if this is what she wants to do, to push that edgy, racier kind of idea, then what do you mean by gimmick? Also, can NXT be TV 14 already? I think it's pretty much there. You know, they don't need to be TV 14 to say they're TV 14 to be it. The type of things that they're putting out there are kind of already there. You know, but this is who Mandy Rose is. She appreciates herself and she enjoys her body and she wants to put it on display. And good for her. It's a part of a gimmick that she's enjoying, that she's doing well, and it works for her. So good for her that she can just go out there and be that confident. Because I know, you know, we all have, you know, friends who are beautiful people who don't always feel super confident to be able to go out and do certain things in certain attires. If she feels comfortable in that and they're like, well, might as well, whatever, like, cool, go for it. Like, if you have the ability to do it, do it. This is going to be a fun little program, the triple threat. I do think, as Sean Cena says, does Raquel take the loss? Yeah. I think this is definitely Raquel taking the loss. Is there any chance Cora Jade wins this, in your opinion? I don't think so.
No.
Speaking of things I didn't think people would win, we'll talk about more about that later. We do have our friend Dream Match Bobby coming in, Bobby Bottino on YouTube, saying, I'd like to say Gigi Dolan and JC Jane versus KC Squared. I think that match is coming. You know, KC Squared is kind of doing a lot of other things right now. Toxic Attraction is held up in this feud with Mandy Rose for right now for the numbers game. But once they get back to defending those titles again, you're going to see KC Squared. You're going to see Indy and Persia. You're going to see teams like that coming through. But yeah, Gigi Dolan and JC Jane in a wrestling match again would be great. Sorry about that. Needed to cough for a second. We're going to go back to the beginning of the show and go step by step through the show. So, of course, it starts with Daddy versus Braun in a promo. It doesn't necessarily start with Daddy versus Braun in a promo. It starts with Daddy Ciampa out there doing his thing. And he says, you know what, Braun? I know you're going to be coming out. I know you're itching at the bit. You're just waiting to come out here. I'm not going to tell you that you can just come on out here and interrupt me. I'm going to invite you. You're my guest. Come out here and listen to me. So, of course, Braun Baker obliges because he was invited. And as a good guest, when you're invited someplace, you just go ahead and come to the ring. So he does, and he goes to get a microphone, and Ciampa's like, no. He doesn't need a microphone. I got this. And Ciampa goes ahead and starts telling Braun that it's all going to be just like it was at Halloween Havoc. It's all about experience. It's all about younger versus older. And they're really pushing the same thing that they've been pushing. The 2.0 young kids want to take over, and the older veterans are like, no, we're going to hold on with all of our grasp and all of our, might to everything that we've built. And Ciampa's kind of getting through to him, and he's talking about how, you're going to go, once you win the title, if you think you're going to go home and all the family's going to bark and bark and bark, and, you're going to go ahead and take the title around and all kinds of fun stuff like that. And Ciampa's like, but it's not going to happen, because just like at Halloween Havoc, you're going to make one slip up and that's going to be the end of the match. And Breaker finally gets sick and tired of it, and he picks up Ciampa and he's going to power slam him. And you can hear Ciampa going, no, put me down, put me down, put me down. And Braun Breaker's like, I have him right where I want him. And he puts him down. He tries to put him on his feet. Ciampa can't quite land the footing, and Ciampa falls to his bum. And it's great because you can see the whole Ciampa like, uh-oh, this is not what I expected. And you can see the Breaker's gotten to him. He's broken that thing, and he's gotten into his mind. And where Ciampa thought he was having mind games on Braun Breaker, we now see that the tables have turned. He grabs the title, and he barks at him. And I forget what Breaker says, but he basically says that he's coming for him. And he hands him back the title, and Ciampa grabs it, and he holds it, and it's Goldie all over again, and he's clutching it. And then Breaker goes outside the ring and then continues to bark at him as the crowd barks. And we're getting all of the Steiner stuff without having the Steiner thing there. What did you think of, as it is, The Daddy Show with Braun Breaker as special guest, as Dara Amazing puts out here?
Yeah, I love seeing Ciampa take control of the promo from the beginning like this. And my favorite line is when he tells him, let's hope you don't drown like the first time. I was like, I'm dead after this one. But yeah, I like more than anything, like his facial expression, everything when Braun put him down. Like, oh, this is not what I expected, how I expected this to go. And then not only he put me up like that, but he put me down that easily too. If I'm not mistaken, I know he said something about like the shark is gonna eat you alive, something like that along those lines.
That is
correct. But yeah, I like how when the part when he tries to get the microphone and he's like, no, he doesn't need one. Like, I'm in control right now. And I like how it went from like Ciampa being in control this whole time to Braun being in control for a couple seconds, which was like the highlight of the whole thing. But yeah, it sold me on the match more than anything. And with this promo, having Ciampa go like, I have more experience than you do, and giving him the recap of War Games is like, you pinned me, so you earned this match. But let's hope it's not like the first time around that you drowned and you failed at it. But yeah, it was super interesting for me to watch this part, especially for like the beginning of the show like this. We got Ciampa in the ring already, so he didn't get like a regular entrance. We just started with the champ head on, and that was the focus of it. So I like how it started like this.
Well, I remember we ended last week's show with Ciampa's music playing and Ciampa having gotten one up on Braun Breaker attacking him. I did like the idea of it being the champion is normally the hunted and the hunters are all the championship contenders. I love the idea that Ciampa's like, no, I'm still the hunter. Whether I'm the champion or whether I'm not the champion, I'm the hunter. Yes, Bobby, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I'm done with the promo stuff. She didn't have one tonight unless I missed it. So I am very excited to see her in the ring. I was interested to see that she had a face-on thing on her Twitter where they showed her face and everything else and stuff like that. So I'm very excited to see when she'll get in the ring on NXT. If you do want to catch her in the ring, go ahead and check out Main Event from, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago, because I think she was on there a few weeks ago. We also have Choke Goat Gaming saying, love the promo and that neither side is pure face or pure heel, just two guys out to prove that they are better than the other. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Ash is back. I was just going to let it go and just see what happened.
I don't know what happened.
But yeah, I agree. There's no heel, there's no face in this. There doesn't need to be. Braun Breaker has been an upfront guy the whole time. He came at Ciampa like a man from the front saying, hey, I want a shot at that title. He didn't attack him from behind. He didn't do anything like that. He beat him at War Games. He pinned him. So he's like, the championship match is mine as soon as I can get to it. And Ciampa, other than the attack last week, isn't really a heel. And Ciampa's like, I'm just here to defend my honor and the honor of the black and gold and all the champions who came before me. And he named Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and Shinsuke Nakamura and Finn Balor. Interesting to note, he didn't say Samoa Joe.
The ones he can name.
But but there's some interesting champions of that golden age that he didn't name. And of most of note, it's the fact that he didn't name Samoa Joe, which is NXT trying to make us forget that we don't know where Samoa Joe is right now. And as Cody and I said, if Samoa Joe can't wrestle healthy, he shouldn't wrestle at all. We then got the Grayson Waller promo from Instagram. We then got the Dakota and Raquel stuff backstage that went to the ring. We had the Tony D'Angelo promo, which was nothing of importance. It was just fluff for the main event. It's a good promo. I mean, it's WWE. They create fantastic stuff like this, but it did nothing for me. That being said, we then had Raquel still calling out, and Mandy Rose showed up, and Cora Jade showed up, and Toxic Attraction. We then had Joe Gacy apologizing for Harland. In my notes, I put apologize in quotations because he really didn't apologize. He says that Brian Kendrick did this to himself, that he was the one who instigated Harland as they were leaving like they were being told to, and he called him a freak, and that's what set Harland off. And Harland's not prone to violence. Funny you say that. That's not what I see, but that's the whole point of this character, and I love it. I don't agree with the Joe Gacy character. You're not supposed to, I don't think. But I love the idea that they're still rolling with it. I love the idea that it hasn't changed since the day it started for the most part. It's that same type of idea. He's talking about being triggered. He's talking about people calling them names. He's talking about being a safe place. He's talking about violence not being the answer. It's all the stuff that he's been spouting since day one. And now he's got a big bad dude to do his bidding. I love it. What about you?
I mean, this was just like a regular promo for me, and I like it. The part that made me laugh the most when he goes, well, he's too shaken up to speak. Like, that's why I'm speaking for him. I'm like, yeah, sure. But yeah, and after that, we got later on, they announced like Harlan versus Brian, but obviously that's probably not going to happen. Probably going to get just like a 1 minute thing, maybe, if we do, perhaps. But it's interesting to see Brian Kendrick on NXT and like all TV on TV just like this so suddenly to me. That's the part that I'm just like, I want to see how this goes because I like Brian. So
what Ashrid's talking about is that later on, so basically this whole thing started from last week with Harland throwing Coach the Brian Kendrick down the stairs. Clean shaven Brian Kendrick to the point where you almost don't recognize it. And so he got thrown down the stairs and he's got a neck brace on. And later on in the show, Brian Kendrick does a backstage interview where he goes, I've quit as a coach and I've gone ahead and signed a release. And Harlan, next week, you're going to go ahead and give me the apology in the ring. And then NXT is just like, we're just going to put up a match graphic because we assume that's what's going to happen. So that'll be fun to see. We then had a GYV. I'm sorry. Before Joe Gacy apologized, we had Vic Joseph and Wade Barrett with a straight shot from ringside with that commentator cam. And it shows our lovely friend Wendy Chu, otherwise known as Karen Q, not backstage, right behind them, square in center, sleeping. This has already hit the internet and people who don't watch NXT, and you can tell who they are because they're like, oh, look, somebody's sleeping like I do through Raw or like we do through NXT because it's not AEW. And I'm not making fun of them. Those are the actual comments on the NXT posted one where they posted this photo on their own Twitter. And these are the comments that are underneath it. Like, they're legit comments. That people don't understand that this is a planted character. They think it's a real person. This is what happens when things get posted on Instagram and Twitter and people don't understand context.
And if you notice, though, it goes back to what I was telling you, how the first week that we saw her, I think when it was GYV with the championship, was it the Toxic Attraction Championships? I don't think I ever saw anybody post that they saw her in the background.
But because it didn't matter, because it was backstage. Like, the reason why this one's getting publicity is because it was somebody in the crowd.
Yep, but have you noticed that after that one, I feel like they noticed that nobody noticed her in the background there and like nobody paid attention. So they've been putting her in positions that she's closer up and they're posting about it on social media to get that reaction from people like, why is she sleeping during the match? Who is that sleeping? I was sleeping like I would during Raw. But they're posting about it versus how they did at the first time. They didn't post about it. and they didn't mention her or anything. You didn't see it anybody, nobody. I didn't even see articles of people pointing out that she was in the back. Nothing like that. So yeah, which is the funny part too. But yeah, I noticed that they've been like highlighting her more or putting her in different positions within the NXT, like the CWC, that people can actually see her. And then where they're doing it, they're posting about it on social media as well, which they didn't before.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and as Dara Amazing says, she walked through Lash's show last week, and she did. And speaking of Lash Legend, we have Bobby saying Lash Legend has impressed me so far with their 2 matches on 205 Live against Amari Miller and Saray. I don't watch 205 Live. I don't watch Main Event. I don't know what happens on those shows. I'm excited that people are happy about that and that she's getting a chance to go ahead and get in the ring and do some stuff. That's impressive. She's doing things, which is cool. I'll be excited to see when these people get in the ring on NXT and we kind of see what their moveset is. Like I said, like the Tiffany Strattons, like Tony Willis, I think his name was, like 3 or 4 weeks ago. He had the promo package right at the end of the show. And then you haven't seen him since. But Tiffany Stratton, Lash Legend, there's a bunch of people who are appearing right now on 205 Live and stuff like that. And I'm very excited to see where it goes from here. We then had GYV in a promo backstage. And they were showing off the, I don't know if this was you that put, oh, okay. Thank you, Dara Amazing. Draco Anthony. That's the one. Way off. I don't know where the hell I was thinking.
I was thinking, like, whose name were you trying to say? Because I was thinking about, like, who is that? And yeah, I remember now. Thank you, Dora.
Draco Anthony. He was the dude sitting in the cafe. Like, you remember that promo, right? The dude sitting in the cafe? I couldn't remember his name for the hell of it, and NXT's not done a good job of reminding me.
I just think of Draco and Harry Potter, and
no,
there you go.
Anyways, so GYV has their promo backstage. I don't know if it was you that showed it or if I found this one myself for this one, but it's the Creeds doing their weird weightlifting, like obstacle coursey type thing. It you have to see it to believe it. These dudes have so much charisma, and I really wish that Diamond Mine would bring it out of them because they're still so boring. That being said, they have so much charisma in this little thing where they're sitting here throwing around like apparently 215 pounds of weight. And GYV's making fun of, and he's like, but no, we're not going to beat them with our muscles. We're going to beat them with our brain. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen, GYV. Oh. We then have Indian Persia backstage, and their match gets canceled. I honestly didn't even remember they had a match this week. So
yeah, I was going to say that.
Oh, it's 315. No, that 315 pounds weight was on the weight bar. I thought they said 200. 300, 200. It's a lot of weight. It's way too much. You shouldn't be throwing it around like that if it's that much weight. And then Grayson Waller came in, and it was basically all just to remind us that AJ Styles is coming. Then we get GYV versus the Creeds. And I was like, oh, cool, I'm excited for this match. And about 5 minutes into it, Jacket Time came out with their own mini announce table. And I messaged Astrid.
You have to go like this.
But Jacket Time came out. And then after we got back from the commercial break, JBBJ came out. And I'm like, great. I know where this is headed. And they kept cutting to the Japanese announce team, or the Jacket announce team, as I called it on Slack with Astrid. And they kept going to them, and they kept pretending like they understood what they were saying as they were speaking in Japanese. I'd be very impressed if either Vic or Wade understood Japanese. But that's neither here nor there. See, I don't love everything about NXT. There's a lot of things sometimes that really get my goat. And this one got my goat. And then, so GYV tries to power bomb the Creeds through the mini announce table. But Jacket Time convinces them not to. And then it gets reversed. And the Creeds are about to powerbomb Zach Gibson through the thing. And then Jacket Time attacks them, and then JBJ attacks them, and all hell breaks loose, and it's fine, and it's great. And I just want it all to be over. These 4 teams are worth so much more than this. Say something nice about this segment.
Can I go back to a segment to make you happier at least?
Sure, go back 2 segments.
I liked when in India and Persia were together that Grayson came in. He goes, I kicked Papa out of NXT. I was like, don't remind me, okay? And then how he told him Grayson Waller, the Grayson Waller effect is the way of the future. And the way he said it, I'm like, I don't like what you did there, honey. No. I know, but I was waiting for your reaction more than anything during this match because I was like, wait, GYV's on TV. Good for Ed. And then I saw this and I was like, never mind. Taking back whatever I was about to say. So I was waiting for your reaction more than anything because I was like, okay, so we get Jacket Time commentary table. That's interesting. Or not. I don't know what to call this train wreck that we saw for those few minutes, to be honest.
I want to like this. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, as Choke Goats Gaming says, and we're going to get to Bobby's comment in a minute after we talk about this segment. But we're going to get there in just a minute, Bobby. So many things happening. Love that they have teams to show off, but just don't smack them all together all at once. I love ships passing in the night. It's the one thing that we've said about NXT 2.0. Nothing feels like it happens in a vacuum. Everything happens with everything around it. And Grayson Waller tonight was that thing. It's like he took out Johnny Gargano 2 weeks ago, and he's still living off that. And it's like last week, everybody was telling him how crappy he was. This week, it's, he has the thing with AJ Styles. And he has this, like you said, this segment with Indy and Persia, where Indy's going after him because Johnny was her dad. I mean, he wasn't, but he was. And so it's like, and he's making all the silly comments about the way, and he's making all the comments about daddy, about Papa and things like that. It's just great. And it's fantastic. And I love it. And then we get a segment with the Creeds, who, like I said, have a ton of charisma online. And they're part of the Diamond Mine, which is great. The Diamond Mine is still fantastic. But then you have GYV, which should be one of your best tag teams in the world. And they're a dastardly heel tag team. And they're being treated like comedy acts, which is fine. Like, I get it. You want to change people up and do something different. Cool. You have Kushida and Ika Manjiro. You need to get Ika Manjiro over. You put him with a bona fide star and somebody he can feel confident being with. You put him with Kushida. I'm fine with Kushida being in a tag team. The Time Splitters were fantastic. There's a reason why they were New Japan Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions at least once, if not more. But that being said, this one isn't working. And I don't like the Jacket Time thing. And I just want it to be over. And then you have JBBJ, who are talented young dudes who could do so much. And you have them in this weird feud where I don't know who's a heel. I don't know who's a face. Mm-hmm. At this point, I don't know who's feuding with each other anymore either. Because originally, JBBJ was feuding with Grizzled Young Veterans, and the Creeds were feuding with Jacket Time. But now I feel like the Creeds are also feuding with GYV, and Jacket Time's feuding with JBBJ, and none of it makes any sense. And it's just a jumbled mess. And I want to enjoy it. And you're giving time to these young stars, and you're trying to put them over. And you have a tag team division that's deep enough to have all of this stuff going on. And you're not talking about MSK. And you're not talking about your tag team champions Imperium. And you're not talking about Legado del Fantasma. Those are 3 more tag teams, and there's more that I can't think of off the top of my head. And you have 7 as it is. Like, that's a loaded tag team division, because that's more than the main roster combined on both shows.
This is how I will put in my notes. I put chaos and ringside because that was just a train wreck to me. And I missed that part, and I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, oh, this is what I missed. It was one of those parts that this is one of those things that I could have taken this out of the show, and it would have been fine with just like the match happening. but I guess they couldn't just have anybody like GYV or the Creed to win. They just wanted to like make the mess, and that's it.
We then get, speaking of things that are going to make me happy and smile again, we have the A champion, Carmelo Hayes, backstage with Trick Williams. And he cuts a quick promo on Roderick Strong. And basically, it's just Trick trying to say that he's not scared of Dexter Lumis anymore. And then promptly, Dexter Lumis is on the TV behind him. And Trick Williams falls down and runs away. Fine. Lovely. Trick Williams is showing so much character and charisma and the ability to talk and be more than just a side piece. On top of this, it's giving him time to watch Carmelo in the ring, work with people like Dexter Lumis, see what all of this looks like, and continue to grow as an in-ring talent for himself. So with all of that, I love this little segment where it's just Trick Mello doing Trick Mello things and Dexter Lumis scaring them. Anything to add?
No, my God, I love any part where Dexter's involved and little things like that's what he likes to do. And it's just those little things that help out people like Carmelo and Trick. So just like it works out for me seeing them together like this.
We then get Zoe Stark and Io Shirai.
It's almost over. Almost.
Is it? Because I feel like they're making a team again. You heard Vic Joseph, right? That they're becoming friends, and I'm like, no, we were done with this. They lost the tag team titles. We're not seeing any more of this. So Zoe is coming in, and Io took her in because Io wants a massage, and Zoe needs to do PT. And for some reason, they're double booked with Legado del Fantasma, who don't look hurt, and I don't understand why they were arguing with Zoe Stark, who's obviously injured and needs PT more than them. But it all sets up Elektra Lopez looking at Io Shirai and basically setting up a match. And I'm like, cool, I'm in for this, thinking it's coming next week. No, we're going to get this match later on tonight. And I'm like, yay. Elektra Lopez is in a big spot here, and we'll talk about it when we get to the match in a little while. What did you think of them taking her from working with B-Fab and doing enhancement matches and whatnot and showcase matches? All of a sudden now she's wrestling Io Shirai.
Yeah, like you said, I was thinking that this was going to be like one of those things like they tease and it happens in a couple weeks. And then all of a sudden when they're like, no, it's happening like tonight. And I'm like, oh, wait. But it makes me feel like it's just a way of like, kind of like, this is her test to see if she passes it with somebody like Io, who obviously has more experience than most of the roster in NXT 2.0. And it's just like, this is your test. And if you pass it, we'll keep you with people like her. And at this point, which I thought was super interesting, the way they jumped her from like the people she was facing to who she's facing tonight. I was not expecting Io at all. So I'm like, when I heard that, I'm like, wait, did I hear that correctly? This is happening tonight? What? It took me a moment to like process it, but I'm like, yeah, it feels like I wonder what caused this to be the match that happens tonight, because that's the part that's interesting to me between both of these ladies. But I'm like, we'll talk about the match when it happens, though. But yeah.
But before we go ahead any further with the show, I'm going to go ahead and thank one of our delightful sponsors, Manscaped. Support for NXT is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer just for you. Go to manscaped.com and insert code LOVEWRESTLING for 20% off and free shipping around the world. Now, let's just be honest. I have to make sure that I get the wording right for some of that. Manscaped is great. I did an unboxing that's going to be appearing on the shows soon. I know Cody was just saying he got his today, and he's very excited. I used my Manscaped this week, and I loved it. It's fantastic. The ability to be able to have the light so that you can see what's going on and not have any nicks and cuts as you go through that. having a separate razor for my face, and then having a specially designed razor for the below the waist, you know, cleaning up of everything. It's just fantastic. Manscaped has a great package coming for you with Crop Preserver, with the Crop Reviver, helping to protect and keep everything and to make it smelling nice and smelling great while looking great. So if you want these offers, again, go to manscaped.com and use promo code LOVEWRESTLING for 20% off and free shipping. I promise you, you're going to enjoy it. Again, get 20% off and free shipping with the code LOVEWRESTLING at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using Love Wrestling. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Astrid's back. So as we were talking about earlier, I said I wanted to go back to something that Bobby was saying. And Bobby said something interesting. We're talking about Roman Reigns earlier, and he says, I'd like to see The Rock's daughter, Simone Johnson, make her debut on NXT. This is, I think, coming, but we have to remember, Bobby, Simone is injured. A couple weeks into her training, she did get injured. We don't know what she got injured with, but she's definitely on her way back at some point in the near future. This, however, I agree with you. I would like to see more Kaylee Ray on 2.0. I would agree. 2.0 does a really good job of maintaining more than one women's storyline going on. And we're seeing it. Like, we have Indian Persia on this show, and they're going up against somebody. We have all the Toxic Attraction stuff going on with Raquel Gonzalez and Cora Jade, and we had the Cora Jade and Raquel Gonzalez stuff going on. I mean, the Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai stuff going on. They do a great job of maintaining multiple storylines. Right now, there's just not enough time for somebody like Kaylee Ray, but once they get past Cora Jade, I think Kaylee Ray is going to start to move to the forefront because I think she's the Mania weekend opponent for Mandy Rose. What do you think?
Yeah, I think she's the one. If anybody's gonna take the championship away from Mandy, I will pick KLR. Like, there's nobody else right now that would like aside from her, and I would like, obviously that's gonna having her in that feud with Mandy when the time comes, have her featured on a weekly basis more often, so it helps too.
Yeah. So continuing on with the show, we had, after the Elektra Lopez and Io Shirai stuff, we get Trick versus Dexter Lumis. Halfway through, Roderick Strong and the Diamond Mine appear up in the Eagle's Nest, which was nice. I couldn't tell how many of Diamond Mine were up there. I know Ivy Nile, Roderick Strong, and Bivens were there. I think one of the Creeds was up there, but I couldn't tell.
No, I only saw Malcolm and then Ivy next to him, and then Roddy when he came and attacked Carmelo, but I didn't see anybody else that I noticed at least.
Okay. But then, yes, throughout the match, Trick goes ahead and gets left by himself when Roderick Strong comes out and attacks Mello, and they fight to the back. Williams loses when he gets hit with the silence. He hits the sidewalk slam type thing, and then he goes ahead and puts him in the silence. Grayson Waller then attacked him, and then AJ Styles showed up. As I said before, we had the Pete Dunne promo, which again was just like the Tony D'Angelo promo, except it was Pete Dunne. Again, nice stuff, but nothing I really needed to see. AJ Styles showed up, and like I said, the one thing I thought about was the specific order. He said Braun Breaker first, he put Tony D'Angelo in the middle, and then he put Carmelo Hayes out there. That means that WWE sees something in these three because they're having a main roster star talk about them being future stars. Also, with something we didn't mention with the AJ Styles promo, you mentioned it once. They continuously mentioned AJ Styles as a future Hall of Famer. That made me start getting real worried. I'm like, oh no, future Hall of Fame. I don't want to see AJ going in the Hall of Fame just yet because then that means that they think his time is up in WWE. So I'm really hoping that this future Hall of Fame thing is a couple of years down the line. As John Cena says, it was great seeing AJ on NXT. It's great seeing AJ anywhere. AJ is just what he says he is, phenomenal. The other thing we didn't bring up during the Grayson Waller segment was AJ said, well, come on, let's do this. And he goes ahead and he squares up like he's going to fight, and he gets out of the ring and he says, no, I'm going to let Omos have you first, and then I'll pick up the scraps.
Yeah.
And I'm like, So I'm going to be very excited to see. I'm already excited to see AJ versus Omos. We've seen Omos doing all the Omos things. He's learned from AJ Styles for a while now. It's time to see how much he's put together and if he can do what he needs to do. We then had the Diamond Mine promo with Malcolm Bivens, where he calls out Carmelo Hayes for a title versus title match at New Year's Evil, which we later find out is not only title versus title, it'll be a unification match for the 205 or the Cruiserweight Division title and the North American title. So there will be only one title other than the World Championship on NXT going forward, other than the NXT main championship. What do you think about this as the one who called it 3 weeks ago?
I remember watching this. I'm like, every single time, I'm like, every time they're together, I'm like, I'm waiting for the announcement. Where's the unification match going to happen? Give it to me because I know it's happening soon. And then first they go title versus title. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But that's not what I want. Just give it to me. And then at the end of towards the end of the episode, we get that Wade is going to be the one, I guess, monitoring or doing everything for the unification. And I was like, yes, this is what I wanted. There we go. For me, it'll be interesting to see what they call it. Are they going to keep it as North American title anyway? Because obviously this is the way to keep the cruiserweight, take away the cruiserweight title. So I'm just going to keep it as North American, or are they going to give it a new name, new championship? That's the part that I'm just like, I need to know this. Come on, give it to me too. Everything.
I'd love to see a redesign for that North American title because I said it when it first came out, and I'll say it again. I hate the maroon red strap. I'm not a huge fan of the weird metal plate in the middle of that huge leather strap, especially on smaller guys. Like, it was fine on Keith Lee, but like on smaller guys like Carmelo Hayes, the damn thing looks enormous.
I like it, but I want to see what ideas they bring up, because what idea they bring up to having that championship and what's it going to be called, because obviously you never know what's going to happen after that. So I want to know the name, and I want to know what kind of design they have for it, because I like the North American Championship, but if they have something newer and better, I'm all up for it. So
yeah, it's going to be fun. We then we then had MSK and Matt Riddle doing the shaman stuff. So this week they were riding around on their scooters through random parts of Florida, and they ride into the middle of the street and seemingly get hit by a bus or a car or something. And MSK wakes up sitting on a park bench thinking that it's all been a dream, the same park bench from like 3 weeks ago. And then they reach into the bag and they find the RK Bro hat and the RK Bro shirt. And then Matt Riddle gets off the bus and he's like, all right, come on. We've got to go to NXT because you've got to call out Imperium next week. And I'm like, at least they're finally coming back to wrestle. Do you have any thoughts on the shaman, Matt Riddle, and all this stuff?
I missed this part, and by you telling me, I'm glad I missed it.
Dar Amazing says that we should call it the NXT Openweight title. That'd be fine. I'd be cool with that. I don't even think they need to rename it. The North American Championship is a fine name. I just think it could use a little bit of a rework. Dar Amazing also says, wait, what about Leo Ruff as North American Champion? Yeah, the title was incredibly, incredibly big on him because he's minuscule. At least Carmelo Hayes has some meat on the bones. That being said, I love Leon Ruff. I think he's fantastic. I'm hoping for more from him in the independence realm, as I believe he's no longer with the company. I think he got released. I don't remember. So many of them did.
He was.
And we do have our friend the Wordsmith. Wordsmith, thank you for dropping in. Happy holidays. Don't forget to witness the festival miracle that is this week's Poetry or Promo. I watched it. I can't describe it. I really can't. You have to see it to believe it. The Wordsmith is absolutely incredible. So if spoken word poetry with wrestling promos is your thing, go ahead and take a look. And we have Dar Amazing saying hello to the wordsmith. After this, we then got Von Wagner versus Idris Enofe, and I was like, oh, poor Idris is going to get squashed by Von Wagner. Robert Stone was out there, and I'm like, oh, one of these guys is getting released. That's not nice. As we all know, if you get paired with Robert Stone, you're soon for the road to the unemployment line. And if you don't believe me, let's just go over the people in NXT that he's been paired with. Chelsea Green, released. Frankie Monet, released. Jessie Kamea, released. Vaughn, don't get involved with him. Please don't. Like, you're not the greatest wrestler. As I saw Josh Robinson say, you know what was wrong with Von Wagner? Everything. And I'm like, I don't agree, but I don't necessarily disagree. He's drawing a ton of heat. Like, a ton of heat. Like, he's got that almost that Ciampa, like, coming to the ring with no music kind of heat. Which is ironic, considering I don't think he's doing as good a heel work. Oh, yeah. Aaliyah's still here. I mean, granted, she's on SmackDown and we never see her, but she's technically still employed. So there's still one left.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Sean Cena, for
that was a point that one out. I was going to say, we have one that's like there.
I mean, but you got to remember, like, Aaliyah's employed, but like, I think Aaliyah has stuff on somebody because like this girl has been like don't get me wrong, like I love Aaliyah. She tries real hard and she wants this and they want to make her a star, and that's good. But think about this. Aaliyah was on Breaking Ground.
I know.
Breaking Ground.
I think where Bailey and Sasha were there, right?
Bailey and Sasha were on that when they were main eventing in NXT. That's how long ago this girl has been around NXT. She hasn't been a thought on NXT or main roster for that long. Think about it. And yes, Dar Amazing points out one that we forgot that was released because Sean Cena then says she was released as well. So yes, we are correct. Mercedes. I forget that Mercedes Martinez was with her, but yeah. That being said, like Aaliyah's been around since Sasha and Bailey were main eventing NXT.
Yep.
So I don't look at her being on the roster and go, she's earned it. I look at it and go, wow. Because it's not like she has something special that they want to develop. Like, there's nothing super special. Like, I love, and again, this seems like I'm trashing Aaliyah, and I'm not. Mm-hmm. Like, she tries real hard. She works real hard. I really liked her on Breaking Ground because the poor girl couldn't come up with a gimmick that William Regal liked. Like, one of the things that was part of her thing on the show was that William Regal kept saying, we need you to come up with a gimmick. And she was like, I can do this. And William Regal's like, no, it's not good enough. Mm-mm. And yes, Bobby, Mercedes Martinez was very briefly aligned with Robert Stone, where she was his mercenary.
Yep.
And he would send her out to do his bidding. And then she turned on them. That was the Dusty Classic, I think, when she was teaming with Toni Storm. Yes, that ever popular team of Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez. Oh, Robert Stone's been in some crap shit on this show. Oh. Anyways, Von Wagner and Idris Enofe. Robert Stone comes out, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Idris Enofe gets a roll-up, like a sunset flip roll-up on Von Wagner, and gets the 1-2-3. And I'm like, well, that was a surprise. I didn't see that coming. Then Von Wagner beats the crap out of him, which I did see coming, because you don't let the big guy get beat by the little guy without having him get his revenge. And then as he's walking away, Robert Stone seems very happy, and Von Wagner just shoulder blocks the guy out of the way, and Robert Stone keeps smiling. Oh, boy. Von, stay away from him. Like, you're not the greatest wrestler, but I like you. Just stay away from him. It'll be okay. We then got an Imperium promo, which I thought was really cool because, again, I love when Imperium do their thing in German and Italian, and it works really well, and it's great. And then we have Mackenzie Mitchell, who pipes up and goes, I don't speak German. I don't speak Italian. Can you let me know what was going on? Which I think is great because I think that the interviewers should bring this up more often when these people speak in their... I love the idea of letting them speak in their native language. I love the idea of having the subtitles for the crowd that's not there. And with this kind of a promo, you can put the subtitles up for the crowd that's in the attendance too, because they're not live in front of the crowd. Mm-hmm. So you can go ahead and when you put this up on the screen, subtitle it for them too. I love the fact that she didn't just pretend like she understood what they said. Mm-hmm. She was like, I don't speak these languages. And they broke it down for her. And they were like, MSK can come after us and they can get their enlightenment. That's fine. They can have a shaman. We have a general. I don't speak German, but I can if you want. Exactly, wordsmith. I love that they're bringing up Walter again. Mm-hmm. If this leads to a 6-man tag with Matt Riddle and MSK versus Walter and Imperium, okay, cool. I'm in for that.
Can we have Walter chop Matt Riddle so he he's afro a little bit?
I think that's where we're headed. I think we're headed to... This may be the first signs of potentially Walter giving up on the whole I'm not going to work in America and coming over here and working. Because we haven't seen him on NXT UK.
They haven't mentioned him, like at least like Imperium since they've been on TV, especially recently until now.
I was going to say, the last couple of weeks, they've dropped little hints about Imperium. Mm-hmm. And Dar Amazing says, oh boy indeed. They
have the live away from Riddle, please.
We then get a rundown of the 3. They only gave us 2, but I'm going to give the rundown of the 3 matches that we now have set for New Year's Evil. We have Braun versus Daddy for the NXT Championship, which is Braun versus Tommaso Ciampa, for those of you who don't watch every week. We have Mandy Rose versus Cora Jade versus Raquel Gonzalez for the NXT Women's Championship. And in a unification match between the Cruiserweight Champion and the North American Champion, we have Roderick Strong versus Carmelo Hayes. This is shaping up to be a really fun show. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't mind seeing them go one more time on NXT 2.0 either. There is a takeover that has this match on it. I don't know if it's a UK takeover or not. I don't think it is. I want to say it's a US takeover. But it's one of the US takeovers. It might be Portland. I don't know. But Ciampa challenged for the NXT UK Championship at one point. Sean Cena says, does Carmelo Hayes win to unify the titles? I think so. I absolutely think so. And Dar Amazing, before we get Astrid to answer that last question, it was stand and deliver. So thank you. Astrid, do you think Carmelo Hayes unifies the titles, or do you think Roderick Strong does?
Yes. Yeah. No, it has to be Carmelo. As much as I like Roddy, Carmelo has to win it. I feel like it will catapult him more as the A champion, but like winning like both championships like that, or having both championships and then unifying them. So why not?
Do you think he Jericho's it and carries both titles around for a while?
He should. That would be cool.
Or do you think they make a new championship that he's given after the match?
Unless they present it on the day of New Year's Evil, but that would be cool having him carry both of the champions. Like, I'm the A champion because I've had 2 championships. Nobody else does. So,
God, I just imagining Carmelo Hayes doing Jericho type stuff when Jericho was the undisputed champion. That sounds like a whole bunch of fun. Mm-hmm. We then got Elektra Lopez versus Io Shirai. And Elektra Lopez, before this match, cuts a promo backstage where she talks about it. And I'm excited for it. And as Bobby says, I like Elektra Lopez. I think we all like Elektra Lopez. Elektra Lopez is getting better in the ring every week.
La Madrina.
La Madrina, yes. La Madrina, indeed. She's getting better in the ring every week. Mm-hmm. I think I would say she's the best looking woman in a suit on WWE television were it not for Sonya Deville. because Daddy DeVille wears a suit, and it's hard to top Daddy DeVille.
Yeah.
That being said, Electra Lopez is a close second.
Hmm.
Um, she's definitely a suit woman. She doesn't need a dress. Just put her in a suit. That being said, in the background of this shot where LDF is getting ready to come to the ring and cutting their promo, we see Zion Quinn. Remember that because of course Zion Quinn will play a part in this match. But we're going to go to Ashley to let her talk about this match. What did you think about Electra Lopez versus Io Shirai?
I felt like it was quick, like quicker than I expected it to be. I was hoping it'll be kind of like how it's been lately. How for the guys we get like a veteran guy and like a more like a rookie guy, and we get like a good back and forth between them, and it highlights the new person too. I thought it was gonna be something similar to that, like highlighting Electra, but also giving us a good back and forth between both of them. But I feel like it ended up quicker than I expected it to be. To be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing another one. um I s- I know why it happened, but I just didn't like how obviously the interruption, because it made it even seem even quicker than what it was. So that's the part that I was like, it's a downfall for me in that sense. But other than that, I like seeing Electra on TV and getting like that experience, especially with people against Io, who has such an amazing experience as it is. But yeah, my that would be, imagine if we get Zion and Io versus Santos and Electra.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be interesting during this match. As we're getting closer to the finish, Zion Quinn comes out to ringside, and he comes out and he pulls something out of his pocket, and I'm like, why does he have like a leaf in his pocket? Oh, it's mistletoe. So he goes to the ring and during a down part in the match, he goes ahead and gets on the ring apron, and Electra Lopez is drawn to him like a magnet. And she walks up to him, and he puts the mistletoe in between them, and it looks like she's thinking about whether or not she should kiss him or not. And then Santos Escobar ruins all the fun and tries to attack him. And then they go ahead and Zion Quinn reverses it and throws Santos Escobar into the ring steps. And then we get Io Shirai hitting a shote and then a moonsault for the win. Uh, it was what it was. Electra Lopez looked good in the little bits that she had to do. It's a nice way to get her in there with a bigger star without making her look too green. Because as we all need to remember, Electra Lopez is not the most talented wrestler in the locker room, but she's getting better and better every week. She's talking better and better every week. As Dara Amazing says, I thought it was a flower. I did too for a little bit. Leaf, flower, something. Until I realized it's Christmas and it's mistletoe. Because of course it is. Do you think she eventually turns on Legado del Fantasma and joins Zion Quinn?
I don't know. I'm still torn about that one because as much as I like her in Zion, I want her to still be with Legato because I like how the chemistry they have, all four of them together, and I don't want to break that up. But at the same time, I feel like it might happen with Zion, so I'm just like, I'm still in between about it.
What do you think about the chances that La Madrina, the godmother, overthrows Santos Escobar and brings in Zion Quinn alongside her in Legado del Fantasma?
I think it
So
will be
it's
super interesting though to see that on TV, like especially Santos of all people, and imagine Santos going against the guys too because they're like in the middle of it as well. So I mean, it'll be super interesting whichever way they decide to do it with, or like which way they decide to go. But I'm excited for either way. So
yeah. We had a very quick promo from Carmelo Hayes where he basically just says, "I accept the challenge and I'm going to be the A champ of both titles." We then got, as we talked about during the pre-show, Tony D'Angelo versus Pete Dunne. Tony D'Angelo, in my mind, almost killed Pete Dunne by accident at one point in this match, where he tried to do a suplex and Pete Dunne almost landed on his head. That being said, as with all Pete Dunne matches, I said ow a lot as I watched this match because that's what Pete Dunne makes me feel. He makes me
mhm.
feel ow. What did you think of Pete Dunne versus Tony D'Angelo as our main event?
I didn't, like you said, we were thinking about. I didn't think that was the main event. I kept thinking like what match is gonna end the show, and I kind of forgot this hadn't happened yet in a sense. So I'm like, yeah, Tony in the main event. Sure, let's give this a shot. But yeah, I liked how it was a good back and forth between them. And that part when I heard your ouch, I was waiting for mine a couple of seconds later to see what happened. But yeah, the finger breaker, though his finger breaking during all those points in the match. So I felt everything. I just like, yeah. Yeah, I feel like it was a good back and forth. Like I said, the ending itself reminded me of how it was. I keep saying last week because I wasn't here last week, but like 2 weeks ago, when Grayson and Gargano having like the young guy beat the veteran and ending the show that way too.
Yeah, and as we know, Pete Dunne did actually defeat Tony D'Angelo, which I thought was good. I thought it was an interesting and creative finish to have Tony being able to go for the thing and having Pete break the fingers and then hit the better end. We have Dara saying that was a great match for Tony D. It was. Like, Tony doesn't need, like, this is the thing about NXT 2.0. You can push all this young talent and they don't need to win every match. You can have a guy like Pete Dunne beat Tony D'Angelo and Tony doesn't lose a damn thing because he's in there with a veteran like Pete Dunne, and he's in there and he had a good match and he didn't look like a fool, and he looked good in that match, and it makes Tony D'Angelo that next step up, especially with the post-match beatdown, where he goes ahead and he puts the crowbar in his mouth, and then he goes ahead and he takes the crowbar and he bangs Pete Dunne's hand, so that now Pete Dunne can't use that hand to break fingers and stuff. And as Sean Cena says, watching Pete Dunne bend the fingers of his opponent makes me cringe. Yeah, it makes me go ow a lot too.
I don't remember if you heard this part from, I think it was Wade that said, if I'm not mistaken, during this match, he goes, remember Lash Legends producer, he won't be the same ever again, when Tony started happening in the match. And I was like, oh my God, going back to the Lash Legend producer.
It's great. Like I said, everything is intertwined and nothing happens in happenstance, and everything happens, throughout the show and different things. And it's just NXT 2.0 is a fun show where things happen. And it's not like some wrestling shows where this segment is in its own little bubble and this segment is in its own little bubble. Everybody kind of interact with everybody else. Was this a great episode of NXT 2.0? No, there were a lot of things I didn't like on the show. That tag team stuff really brought this show down for me. Matt Riddle and the Shaman stuff is really getting on my nerves. It's literally in my notes as Matt Riddle shit promo. Like, I really like this show though. Like the way it started, the way it ended, Grayson Waller kind of throughout the show, AJ Styles coming in and giving that rub to a younger talent. Even if we never get to see that match, that it's giving that rub to Grayson Waller so that he can go on and face Dexter Lumis because LA Knight's out for a little while. All kinds of good stuff. But Ashley, we're going to go ahead and we have one question, then we're going to go to that. Does Tony D'Angelo challenge for a title soon?
I don't know.
I don't think so. Honestly, without the cruiserweight title, there's no title for him to go for. You're not putting him up against Carmelo Hayes.
Not yet.
And Hayes is keeping that title until he's going to the main event picture. So until Hayes is ready to head to the main event scene and deal with people like Braun Breaker and Pete Dunne and the upper echelon of what's going to be the new 2.0 coming out of WrestleMania weekend, Tony D'Angelo's in a holding pattern, which is fine because Tony D'Angelo's character doesn't necessarily need a title. He's incredibly entertaining without one. He makes me smile. He's funny. It's way better than I thought it ever would have been. It's a lot of good stuff from Tony D'Angelo. I also want to make sure that we shout out our other sponsor for the show, RK Athletics. Rich King and RK Athletics are fantastic people who do fantastic things. I know he was working last weekend with Chris Parrish in a wrestling match. I don't know how it went out, but I'd be interested to find out from the two of them what happened in those matches on Saturday night for RCW. But you can go ahead and follow Rich King at RK Athletics 1 on Twitter and Instagram. They do personal training in the Edmonton area, and during the pandemic, they have been doing virtual personal training, so they might be doing that as well. Go ahead and give them a check out if you're in the Edmonton area and you go ahead and need, New Year's is right around the corner. We're all going to make those New Year's resolutions. One of the big ones was I'm going to get in better shape. RK Athletic 1's on Twitter. I do want to make sure we've been running it on the bottom of the screen. Get 20% off Manscaped at manscaped.com with free shipping at manscaped.com with the promo code Love Wrestling. But now that we've done all that, we're going to go ahead and give Astrid the big screen. And Astrid's going to tell us what she's up to this week. What are you looking forward for the holiday season? And what you think we're going to see next week on NXT besides the stuff that's already been announced.
Well, I don't know. I really don't have anything in mind aside from what they announced, but I'm looking forward to the ladies' match. This is probably one of the Raquel's last matches in NXT, so I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to watching Spider-Man No Way Home during the holidays, so we can finally talk about it. And other than that, just spending time with my family, being up from work. I don't have to wake up early. Like today, I don't have to go to bed, thankfully, because I don't have work tomorrow. But other than that, just enjoying. I know. But no, other than that, just enjoying my time off and catching up with my reading and my wrestling and everything going on around the world. But yeah, having fun here. I love wrestling like we always do. So nothing new. But other than that, I'm usually on my Twitter, which is Astrid Pizarro, and just like tweeting whatever I'm watching at the moment. That's it.
And of course, you can find me at edfries12584 on Twitter. And you can find me here co-hosting NXT with Astrid for the next couple of weeks as Cody is on assignment. We will probably have some special guests coming up in the next few weeks. For me, that's pretty much all we've got. Is we got the holiday season coming up, so we have Christmas coming up. So for everybody who celebrates, again, a Merry Christmas to all of you who celebrate. For all of you who don't, enjoy a wonderful long weekend. With this winter weekend, we've got New Year's coming up soon. So everybody make sure that you stay safe and you celebrate responsibly. Whatever you might do, celebrate responsibly, have a good time, but don't go crazy. And with that, this has been your show of NXT. We've got a couple comments before we head out the door. We've got, hold on, it's not loading. We've got the big screen for the big star. We did indeed. Happy holidays to you as well, Dar Amazing. It's very nice to see you. You're always here. Dar Amazing also gets us the match cards so far as we know it for next week. Loomis and Waller. Cora and Raquel versus Toxic Attraction, and Harlan versus Kendrick. So lots of fun stuff to look forward to already, as that will be the go-home show to New Year's Evil. So we're going to get the final two matches for New Year's Evil.
And if MSK calls out Imperium, we get that too.
Yeah, we get that as well. We have our friend Gomer from Choke Goat Gaming saying happy holidays, guys. Happy holidays to you as well. With that being said, I've been Ed.
I'm learning, see?
Yeah. I can't do it. Forget it. I can't do that stuff. My fingers don't bend that way. Everybody have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. And remember, love wrestling.